Best pod of your day, episode 4, as we're here into game week number 3. Head coach Todd Stepsis, I'm J.W. Cox. We'll be joined this week by Mo Olowo, defensive back, senior, fifth-year guy in the program. So it'll be fun to talk to Mo and pick his brain about what's gone on so far. Panthers back home for family weekend this weekend. That's always fun. Family weekend for the university. Gets a lot of people in here. First 1,000 people get a replica jersey. Nachos are $1.50, Coach. I don't know if that's a big draw for you to get the nachos with the cheese sauce, but that's going to be fun too inside the dome and different than we saw 2 weeks ago for folks. I know you're here every day. I don't know if you get lost with some of the new signage, but there's new stuff going up all the time.
Yeah, it's super cool out there. And then it being a 4 o'clock kick too, that'll be different for me. Yeah. So, I have a preference for 1 o'clockers, and some people love it, some people hate it, and you can never please everybody, but here we got a 4 o'clock game, so those 4 o'clock diehards, they get that this week, and then our next home game is also at 4 for homecoming. But that'll be neat because we do all of our stuff ahead of the game, and I have a feeling there'll be more people tailgating at that time, 2.5 hours before kickoff, walking to the Panther statue out there, and so there might be a few more rowdies out there, which would be fun. And I know that my first experience in the Dome, that home game, was electric for me, and I think that it'll be just like that, maybe even better, being a little bit later.
Yeah, if you didn't catch that the first time around for that first home game, 2.5 hours before, Panthers will get done with their meal and walk over. You can catch them at the Panther statue between the McLeod and the Unidome here. And so that's a fun part and fun new tradition. All right, let's go back to last week's game before we start even looking ahead a little bit. What impressed you about kind of the toughness and the never quit that you saw from your guys, and really the effort against an opponent that kept throwing big things at you in a big crowd in that environment? What impressed you the most about the way your team handled themselves?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit on it, resiliency. I mean, there's a lot that is not easy, in that scenario, so everywhere you look, on the field, on the stadium, you're at 72, 100 feet above sea level. And if you're feeling light, you have to get past that mind game, that happens, we're playing inside, now we're playing outside. So there's a little bit of that. What's the wind like? How's that going to affect different things? You're playing against an FBS team. So is there an intimidation factor there? So there was a lot of things that could have caused us to cower. And I never really saw that happen for the whole 60 minutes. Even when we got behind, we kept trying to punch back, and unfortunately we just didn't play our best game. I do want to give credit to Wyoming. I thought, defensively they were really solid. I thought, when you talk about great defenses, they play team defense. There's not really a star in the group. It's just all of them working together, really shutting people down. I thought they were real sticky in the back end. It's hard for us to get open. The throws had to be on the money or they were going to be getting knocked down. So I thought they played great defense, but, nice to see us make a few plays. Nice to see us, score early. The interception in the red zone after J Mart's big hit is going to probably haunt my dreams for the rest of my life, because that would have been an opportunity for us to we punch back with that big sack fumble, and then that would have been a monster blow that we could have dealt in that scenario to get back in the game, because then it would have been, I think, a 10-point game at that point. But yeah, we played full 60 minutes, and I think too, just we just got done with practice, and I told the team this. The way we were bouncing around out there, the smiles on everybody's faces, everybody having a good time, putting good work in, getting a sweat in, you would have thought we would have won by 50. And so, that's the key. How fast can you turn the page in the good and the bad? And so we didn't play our best. The outcome wasn't what we wanted it to be. But now that stuff's gone. Hey, let's learn from our mistakes. Let's correct what we did wrong. And how can we be our best today? And then it definitely looked like, okay, the message is clear. We're going to be our best today. We're going to move forward. We're going to control our attitude and how we're going to attack each day. And I'm really looking forward to Saturday.
Maybe some of that there answers a bit of this question, but now you're 2 weeks in, and you mentioned, I think, in your press conference, there's a difference in what you think you've got going out of camp, and then you play a couple of games. So what have you learned most so far through 2 games about your team? What's been something that's kind of sprung to mind about maybe you didn't know going into those first?
Yeah, we can hit on defense. I think just some of the, the collisions that we've had, some of the tackling that we've had in space has been really, really good. They can get better, sure. We missed quite a few last weekend, but I think defensively, I think we're starting to figure out, again, what makes a good defense is when you play as a team, as you play as one, and I don't need to make every play. And sometimes my job, I'm not supposed to make this play. I'm supposed to sacrifice myself so the guy next to me can make this play. And so, just seeing the improvement in there is something that I've noticed, like where, hey, we're gradually coming along. You can see the light bulb starting to come off. You can start to see guys, taking their role and going full speed with it. I'm starting to see a team that is not going to flinch or blink, and they're going to keep playing. That's something just overall as a positive. I think all three phases we're starting to see like who does what well. So, gosh, like TK is great on the outside. So, how do we keep him out there? How do we isolate him? How do we get one-on-one coverage with him to where he can use his size and his hands and his release capability? Like, how can we get him in those positions? Like Derek Anderson's a great blocker, and he's a great blocker when he's in line. And so, like, how can we get him attached to the formation? How can we get backers running free? How can we continue to use rotations to build depth? I mean, all of those things we're starting to learn. Boy, this guy we thought could only be a 10-snap-a-game guy. Now, shoot, he probably could play 20 to 25. And so starting to see, like, hey, we don't know if he's quite yet ready yet. He is ready. Hey, we had an injury here. Let's try this guy. Oh, man, he's ready to go. So, I like the fact that, we're continuing to play a lot of people. We're continuing to build depth. And, I think we have a team that is they're just excited for the opportunity to play every week.
When you look at this week, a tough opponent, opponent that can throw a lot at you, but you get them at home, you feel like you get a chance to go out there with a real good measuring stick, basically, with this team coming in too. What's the mentality that you're preaching to your team this week? What do you want them thinking about as they get prepared for Eastern Washington?
It's all about attitude, and so, attitude is something you have complete control over, and your attitude isn't just in here, it's in your actions. I told the team that, on Sunday, it's like, okay, your attitude shows up in your actions. Do you have great body language? Do you have a pep in your step? Are you going, full speed? Are you being encouraging to your teammates? Like, those are all actions that are very visible, and then those actions define you as an individual. So, if you have poor body language, if you're constantly negative or pointing the finger, that defines who you are as an individual, and it gives us an idea on what we're getting in times when things don't go well, like they did last week. On the converse, which is what I think we have on our team, is we have a team full of guys with great attitudes. So guys that are going to play with a chip on their shoulder, because a lot of people don't necessarily believe in us yet. We're starting to get a few turn, but we still have a long way to go. But I mean, hey, let's have the attitude of, hey, the past is the past. What can I do today to defend the dome this weekend? What can I do today to be my best for my teammates? What kind of mistakes did I make last week that, I can correct this week? How can I block the noise out that happens on social media and everywhere else and focus on me being the best me, because my teammates are counting on me? So to me, like, this week is all about attitude. How can we show up, correct the mistakes that we make, but then have just optimism? How can we play, where, hey, this place is intimidating, and let's use that to our advantage. Let's play like we're capable of playing.
By way of a tease, we're going to have Mo on the show here next. What have you come to like about him? Fifth-year guy. I know he shows some leadership. He's been through different things, whether it's on the field or off. What do you like about what he brings to the table?
What's not to like? I mean, if you're just going to keep it to the football part, I mean, what a stud. I mean, he just not a whole. I think two things pop to my mind. One's a football memory, and then one's a non-football memory. So, football memory. I remember the spring. He was playing the deep middle of the field. I can't remember if we were playing man free or if we were playing 3 deep. But anyway, it might have been man free. And so we run a slot fade, and the ball is like put out on the bottom of the number. So that's a ball that, by rule, a middle safety, you don't have to make a play on that. Your job is to basically cover from 18 yards to the back of the end zone, 2 yards outside the hash. Like, that is what you have to get to a ball that's thrown in that area. Anything outside of 2 yards outside the hash, we're not expecting to make the play. And he comes out of nowhere. I mean, like, far hash. So he didn't even really get to the middle of the formation. He comes from the far hash and knocks he might have even picked it off. But I just remember thinking, like, man, that guy covers a lot of ground. And then, like, the byproduct, obviously he covers a lot of ground. And then when he gets to where he wants to get to, he's going to inflict damage. He's a great tackler in space, closes space so well. So, like, the football stuff is there. But then the non-football memory, like, I don't know if he remembers this or not, when we did the Pack the Dome, when we came back from break, he and I were, like, together, in the line. And, what a great personality. It's one of the things you really hope as a coach when a guy gets done playing and he starts to become an adult, is he going to be a great employee, but then a great husband and a great father? And he's there. I mean, he's absolutely there. He's going to make an impact, and just who he is and his demeanor and his positivity, like, he's so much fun to be around, which in my opinion, is far more fun and exciting than anything that he does on the field. And that stuff's pretty great too.
Well, we'll bring Mo on next, and we'll dive into that. It's the best pod of your day, working you towards Week 3, Eastern Washington in the Dome, 4 o'clock kickoff. You can catch that on TV, but catch it in person. You can catch it on the radio too. Bring the radio in, whatever you want to do. Panthers will be here. They'll be in action at 4 o'clock. We'll have Mo Olowo next. It's the best pod of your day. Stick around. Best pod of your day, segment 2, and we are happy to be joined by Mo Olowo, a senior defensive back in his 5th year here with the Panthers. Mo, thanks for coming out. I mean, I know you got a lot going on. You're in school. You're doing all that, but making time, that's awesome. Let's start right there, though. 5th year in the program. You've seen a lot. You've gone through injury. You've gone through stuff on the field, off the field. What excites you, though, about this year and what your defense specifically can be this year and what you guys can do?
Our defense, I really think it's how fast and physical we play. The communication is getting there, and we're getting to that peak moment where our communication, our physicalness, and how fast we play is all coming together, and I think that's what's going to make our defense really dangerous this year.
When you bring in a couple of new coaches, as you did, obviously you've got a new head coach, but then you look on the defensive side of the ball with Coach Smith, Coach Hupke with the safeties. What do you like about that group, and what's some of the intangible stuff that they've brought that's really spoken to you and helped you out in your game?
Speaking on Coach Smith first, I like Coach Smith. He has this thing called purple haze, and his definition is kind of purple haze is confuse the offense, confuse the quarterback, and just have so much ruckus, chaos going on that the offense just can't function. And I like that he brings that to the defense, and we're all just about creating chaos. I love Coach Hupp. That's my coach. He's always showing me the ins and outs of the coverages and what to do on the field, things to get me a step closer to somewhere. And really, Coach Hodges, too, he gets us really hyped. He has that real dog mentality where he just believes, he believes so much that we're better than any opponent that steps on the line across from us. So I really just love that.
Coach, has Coach Smith been waiting to break out the purple haze? I know you've worked with him in other places that weren't purple. Was he just champing at the bit to get that out there?
Oh yeah. So at our old place was Blue Magic.
Oh, okay. Blue Magic.
That was the thing, and then it just made sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze, it just I mean, it was. If it wasn't that, somebody check us. What are you're missing out?
When you hear him describe his relationship with those guys, you have to know him, and you do know him, and you brought him here for a reason because you knew they can have an impact. What does that say to you as the head coach about what your assistants are doing and the impact that they can have?
I'm glad these guys are knowing what I already know. You know what I mean? They're just they're great coaches, so they know the game, but a lot of guys know the game. I mean, you can scour the country, and there's a lot of guys that know ball and know X's and O's and all that stuff, but who they are is why they're here. Why they do what they do is why they're here. They're great men. They're two of them are great husbands and fathers. And this is their calling. This is what they were born to do. All 3 of them. If they didn't have bills, they would do it for free. And they love football that much, but they love what the game can do for our players. They also love the fact that, man, we've got something that these guys love, and so they're elite at this. And how can we take their love for the game of football and have them apply it to the rest of their lives? And man, when they leave here, they're just the guy, the impact guys you see out there, they're going to be the same way, with their families and in their jobs. So that's why they do what they do. They love being a part of that journey. They love being a part of that relationship. We're going to be cheering for him long after the interceptions are done and the big hits are done. Man, we're going to be his biggest fan for the rest of his life, and that's why we do what we do. And then I'm just so happy that our players are seeing what I knew all along with these guys.
Mo, let's go to the school side of things. What are you working towards? Where are you at in the classroom? What's your major? What are you studying?
So right now my major is sports administration, and with that, really my first major goal would be working as athletic director, really getting the outreach with the kids and really being able to manage a bunch of sports at the same time and give love to sports that some high schools don't show love to. I kind of really want to bring that mentality where it's I want to show love to everyone, not just focus on football, basketball. I want to show love to tennis, the girls diving team. I want to show love to the girls soccer team. So that's my main goal. And then big goal would be general manager of a team. So I'm doing an internship right now with our current GM right now, Owen Chandler. So I'm working behind the scenes with him. He's showing me things and learning from him. So yeah.
You've seen a lot of stuff with the running of a football team over the time you've been here from a player perspective. Is there anything when you've been working with Owen here recently that you've been like, wow, that's kind of an eye-opening thing, or something that you've learned that now kind of helps you in some different way and seeing it from a different perspective?
I'll just say that all this stuff costs a lot of money. All this stuff costs a lot of money. So, hey, the money got to come from somewhere. I thank you to the donors. I thank you for everyone that support us. And, man, that's a lot of expenses. That's really the thing. That's why eye-opening to me. But yeah,
I was wondering if you're gonna be like, well, there's some things that making me rethink my goal of I don't know if I want to do this job. This doesn't look like fun at all, because there's a little bit of that.
To that first point though, you talked about spreading the love around to the different. Where did that come from? Was that something you felt and came up with in high school, and you being supportive of the other teams? So I know you played a lot of different sports and you were active in different ones. Was that something that happened here? Panthers supporting Panthers. Where did that kind of come from for you?
It definitely came here. Panthers supporting Panthers. Helping out Andrea and Marissa with the things we do in the spring where we go to schools and read to kids, that kind of doing that all these years here, it kind of makes you into a better person naturally. You want to help everyone out. You don't want to just be focused on one thing, because you think back and you're like, I could do more. I can do more. You see these little kids, you see other people, the outreach, and I feel like doing more makes everything better. So it just brings everyone together. Being about one thing isn't always a good thing. I feel like just showing the love to everyone gets the best outcome out of everything.
As you've been on campus and gotten to know other student athletes from different sports, what have been some of the other sports that you've connected most with, or that you enjoy kind of cross-hanging out with, whether it's supporting them at their games or whatever you get to do?
I'd probably say wrestling and the track team, because track team, we always see them, we always crossing paths when we're going to a weight room. So I've got to know those people and know those guys. And then the wrestling team, just their grit and everything they do on this campus for UNI, how they put UNI on the map. I had to get to know those guys and, get to know them, get a little about their mentality and how they see things. So I've taken some of that stuff with me.
You mentioned track, and that was a big part of your high school experience. When you left, you had some records in the 100 and the 200. Do you know if those are still standing at Rogers?
Yep, still standing.
Still got
Never gonna stop.
That's good.
No one's ever beaten that. I ain't gonna lie. No one's beaten that.
What was the times?
We got 10.8 100.
Yeah, that's moving.
And then 21.9 200 meter. And then
4x1, right?
4x1 record freshman year. Joined a couple of junior seniors. Helped them get to state. So
they needed you. They were waiting for you to put them over the top. When you look at track and field and running, and I mean, it's different, but you train. And what about track and field and running those events helped make you a better football player?
I think it was like my sense to go. In football, there's things that you see, and some people have that kind of hesitation step. But I feel like with track, I always just think to that 100, just get out the blocks. So when I see something in football, I just think, oh, get out the blocks and just go. Just go, see whatever happens when you get there and just make something happen with your speed. So that's really what I've taken from track.
That's good. I mean, I like the get out the blocks. I can kind of like getting out of your break and going for a ball in the air. That makes a ton of sense to me.
Put that in the file cabinet. That can end up on some presentation at some point.
No
That'll
doubt.
be there. All right, well, I got to ask you. So Rogers, Minnesota, it's up there, just just outside the Twin Cities. It's basically the Twin Cities. When did you first hear about UNI, and what was kind of the path to get you here from there, way back when?
So first time I heard about UNI was there was a defensive back from Minneapolis North that went over there, and I was a big fan of him. He was doing great things here. He was freshman All-American, so I was watching him, and I always seen UNI had a great defense, and he'd always tell me that there was a lot of UNI DBs that go to the league, and that was one of the things that brought me towards UNI. I see they have a great defense. They bring DBs to the league, and they give you that, they show you how to get to the league by, having that great defense, and that's really what brought me here. And it was close, 3.5. That was always a thing for me. Like 3.5, that's easy. I can go back home anytime, go back, see my mom, see my family. So that was a big thing for me.
Yeah, basically when you get to Lakeville, right, you're pretty much home anyway.
Yep.
That last 45 minutes, that just flies by. All right, you ready for the lightning round? Let's jump in, get some. Let's start with this one. So, real name Michael.
Yep.
When did you first start going by Mo, and how did that come about?
Okay, so it was like a basketball thing. So there was a basketball move named Jelly, and it was like a jelly layup. And when I was like in middle school, I always like wanted to be like that. So I like changed my IG name to like Jelly Mo. And I come to school the next day, and everyone's like, "Yo, Jelly Mo, Jelly Mo." I was like, "Yo, how'd y'all know?" So everyone just started calling me Mo after that, and it kind of just stuck. Like as soon as I got here, they're like, "What's your name?" I was like, Mo. And ever since then, it's been Mo. Even my parents, they're like, "They call you Mo?" I was like, "Yeah, they call me Mo." So you guys might start calling me that. They're like, "Nah, we calling you Michael." So,
So that means I might have to throw some Michaels out on the radio, just for your mom, just in case. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Now, if so you basketball guy. Now, would that be your next love after football, or what would you say, track?
I think track, because it's like, now that I'm older, I understand basketball. Like, I'm 6 foot. Like, I'm not going to do much on the basketball court. Like, I have to have a great jumper or something. I feel like track, somewhere that I would always just, like, still be competitive. I feel like basketball, that was the thing when you was young. But you get older, you're like, yeah, I'm not 6'5". So you leave that in the past.
it matters. Yeah, that extra 5 inches.
Even
matters.
6'5" is kind of like,
Right.
Man, that's even short, too.
These days. All right, what off season? I know you put in a lot of work and change your body and stuff like that. What's your favorite off season workout to do? Type of workout, lift. What's your favorite one?
So I have a trainer at home, Eric Harrison. He runs Showtime Performance, and I'm there every day in the off season. We're doing feet work. We're catching balls on the jugs. He's showing me all type of drills that he makes up. So I've been training with him since I was in 10th grade before I had any offers. So like that's where I go back to lift. I go back to get my feet right. That's where I go every time.
Now, do you have any like competitors that work with him too? Because I know there's a lot of Missouri Valley kids that come out of that area.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know is there ever like, is it a respect or is it a rivalry still, or like?
I think it's more of a respect thing, because in the beginning of all of it, we all used to train together. And then like as we went to college, that's when we kind of seen them like separate and have their own little gym. So we all still respect each other, because we all know we're just coming back from college and just get right and just get your body right. So it's never been a jealousy thing. It's just always been trying to promote their stuff and help more kids get over there and get better at football and do what they want to do on the field. So, yeah.
All right, think of pro athletes that you like or like to follow. Who's the pro athlete that you'd most want to sit down for dinner with?
LeBron James.
Easy. All right.
LeBron James, man. That's him.
Yeah, why is that? I mean, again, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. I'm not saying.
He's the GOAT. Like, he's the best basketball player in the world. He does things that are unimaginable, and I don't mean to get too much on him, but it's just like, who wouldn't want to talk to LeBron James? I watched him since I've grown up, so seeing him in Miami, go to Cleveland, come to the Lakers. I've been a journeyman. Following him around, so we'd have to sit down.
So, like, if you could do the same thing where a person that's alive or dead, what would you like? Is there somebody like that maybe maybe from your childhood that maybe isn't here anymore, that you'd be like, God, man, it'd been great to sit down and have a conversation with that guy or girl?
I'd probably say, like, hey, this is going to be wild. This just popped in my head. I'll probably say Tupac, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
Another one that doesn't really need an explanation, right?
why not? Why
yeah.
not talk to Tupac? Like, why not? Like, gone too soon, you know? That's another guy, like, why not talk to Tupac, you know?
All right, you got a favorite Panther moment so far? When you hear that, what comes to mind? Can be on the field, can be with the teammates.
I just want to say, like, since the spring, like this whole year, this has been the most fun I've ever had. Like, nothing past, like, to all the past stuff that I've done, but it's just like this last year, I've never really felt stressed, like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna end. Like, I've just always been in the moment here, been having fun with the guys, having fun, bringing up younger guys over here, and it's been a blast, man. Like, it's just been so fun. Like, I never want this to end this season. I never wanted to end. So it's been fun ever since Step and the whole staff touchdown December. Like, it's just been a great time, man.
Oh, there's a better way to end it than that. I mean,
great.
that's
awesome.
Great stuff, Mo. Appreciate you coming out. Love watching you being healthy out there, laying hits. Do another one like you did last week, and you probably will get the hammer. I mean, Jamar's play, we were talking before, he's probably got it this week,
Yes,
but
sir.
keep at it, and it'll come your way. Thanks for coming out. Best of luck this year.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, Coach, it should be a fun one this weekend. Want to see everybody out at the Dome, 4 o'clock kickoff, 2.5 hours before, Panther Walk. See these guys out at the statue. Get out here, enjoy the whole game day experience. Wear purple. Eastern Washington coming to town. If you missed any of our other episodes, catch them on YouTube or Panther Point of View, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm J.W. Cox for Coach Stepsis for Mo. Thanks so much for watching. It's been Best Pod of Your Day, Episode 4. We'll talk to you again next week.